Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everybody, my name is Muhammad Akmal Valeriskullah, and in this video, I'm gonna talk about looping. So, what is looping? Looping in programming is used to repeat a particular block of code until it meets the desired condition. Suppose that you need to print a string, for example, hello world, 5 times. So you just need to write printf hello world 5 times, right? But what if you need to print hello world 100 times? It would be tedious to have to write the printf statement 100 times. So C provides a powerful control structure called a loop that controls how many times an operation or a sequence of operations is performed in succession. Using a loop statement, you simply tell the computer to print a string 100 times without having to code the print statement 100 times. So loops are structures that control repeated execution of a block of statement. And the concept of looping is fundamental to programming. And here's the structure of looping. The first one is initialization. It is a condition at the start of the loop, and this initial condition assigns a value to the counter variable. The second is condition comparison. It is a condition that must be met for the loop to run. As long as the condition is met, the compiler will continue to iterate. And the last is update statement. It is a part to process the counter variable so that it can meet the end condition of the loop. It can be an increment or a decrement. And C provides 3 types of loop statement, which are while loop, do while loop, and for loop. Let's get started with the while loop first. So here is the syntax for the while loop. And here is the flowchart for while loop. The while loop, the part of the loop that contains the statement to be repeated is called the loop body. Here's the loop body. One-time execution of a loop body is referred to as an iteration of the loop. Each loop contains a loop continuation condition, a Boolean expression that controls the execution of the body. Here's the loop continuation condition, and here's in the syntax. It is always evaluated before the loop body is executed. If its evaluation is true, the loop body is executed. This statement will be executed. If its evaluation is false, the entire loop terminates and the program control turns to the statement that follows the while loop. So, in this method, the action will be carried out as long as the condition is true and will stop if the condition becomes false. In this iteration, the number of repetition is not known with certainty. For example, the following loop prints hello world 100 times. We initially set I is equal to 0, and the loop continuation condition is I is less than 100. And the update statement here is the I++ right here. So this loop body will be executed until I reach 100. If I is reach 100, which means the condition will becomes false, the loop terminates and the next statement after the loop is executed. And here is another example for while loop. This program will display the number 1 until 5. So initially we set I is equal to 1 in this line. And then we set the loop continuation condition is I is less than or equal to 5. And yeah, as usual, we use the I++ as an update statement. So in this program, the I value will be displayed by line 8 as long as the condition is true. And the loop will terminate when I is greater than 5 or reach 6 here. And then the program will terminate too and give us this result. And then let's move to the next section. Okay. The do while loop is a variation of while loop. And here is the syntax for do while loop. And here is the flowchart for do while loop. The loop body is executed first in do while loop. Then the loop continuation condition is evaluated. If the evaluation true, the loop body is executed again. If it is false, then the do while loop terminates. In this iteration method, the action will be done at least once. This is because the condition checking is done after the action is performed for the first time. The action will continue as long as the condition is true and stop when the condition is false. In this iteration, the number of repetitions is not known with certainty. It is the same as the while loop. And the major difference between a while loop and a do while loop is the order in which the loop continuation condition is evaluated and the loop body executed. And then the while loop and do while loop have equal expressive power. Sometimes one is a more convenient choice than the other. For example, you can write the while loop in the previous problem using a do while loop as shown in this slide. Okay. Here is the flow chart. So the first is we initialize or set I is equal to 0. And then the program will execute the loop body and evaluate the condition. And if the condition is true, then the loop body will be executed again. And the evaluation will be done again. And if the conditions become false, which is I reach 100, then the loop terminates and the following statements after the loop statement is executed. And here we have the other example for do while loop. Okay, in this program, we take an input from the user for the thoughts of line that will be displayed on the console here. And the variable I is initially 1. And here, and then the loop will execute the loop body first. So it will print the value of I and increment count by 1. And then the loop checks whether I is less than or equal to 9 is true. If so, it executes the loop body again to print the new value of I. And in the example, the user input is 6. So in line 11, the condition will be I is less than or equal to 6. So the loop will terminate when I is greater than 6. It will give us this following result. Okay, now we're gonna discuss about for loop. Here's the syntax for loop. The for loop statement starts with the keyword for, followed by a pair parentheses, enclosing initialization, loop continuation condition, and update statement, and followed by the loop body enclosed inside braces here. And here's the flowchart. And the initialization, the condition, and the update statement are separated by semicolons. Yeah. A for loop generally uses a variable to control how many times the loop body is executed and when the loop terminates. This variable is referred to as a control variable. The initial action often initializes a control variable here in this part. The action after each iteration here usually increments or decrements the control variable, and the loop continuation condition tests whether the control variable has reached a termination value. Yeah. So in this method, the action will be carried out as long as the condition is true and will stop if the condition becomes false. In this iteration, the number of repetition is known with certainty. And yeah, this is the difference between for loop and the other types of loop. Yeah. And for example, the following for loop prints hello world 100 times. And yeah, we can rewrite the while loop and the do while loop using for loop here. The initial action I is equal to 0 initialize the control variable. The loop continuation condition I is less than 100 is a Boolean expression. The expression is evaluated at the beginning of each iteration. If this condition is true, the program will execute the loop body here. If it is false, the loop terminates and the program control turns to the line following the loop. And the action after each iteration here, which is update statement, is a statement that adjusts the control variable. The statement executed after each iteration. It increments the control variable. Eventually, the value of the control variable should force the loop continuation condition to become false. Otherwise, the loop is infinite. And yeah, we usually call it looping forever. And here is the other example for loop. This program is the same as the example for do while loop before. And yeah, it will take the user input for the lots of line and display the value of I. And instead of using do while loop, here we're gonna use for loop. We initialize I is equal to 1, and the condition here is I is less than or equal to n, and the update statement is I plus plus. And in this example, the user input is 5. So the condition here becomes I is less than or equal to 5. And the loop will terminate when I is reached 6, which is greater than 5. And then the loop terminates and the program will execute the statement after the loop statement, which in line 10 here, return 0. And yeah, this is the end of the program. So we have this result in our console.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Rizky Syah Hamadan with assistant code SYI. Uh, Here I will explain pre-increment and post-increment. These two terms are ways to add value to a variable. First, post-increment returns the value to a value that has not undergone the addition operation, or values are out first, then added. Second, pre-increment is return the value to the value that has undergone an addition operation, or value is added first, then output. Okay, pre-increment is add value to variable before the value of the variable is processed. The initial value of k is 5, then the value of plus k is 6. This is because in the plus k operation, the value 5 is increment before being displayed. After that, the value of plus k is 6. So that at the next call, the k to be displayed is also 6. Next, post increment. Add value to variable after the value of the variable is processed. The initial value k is 5, then the value of k plus is 5. This is because in the k plus operation before redisplay, that k plus will be replaced with the value 5. After that, finally increase by 1 to the final result with a value of 6. This is with the formula value plus 1. Okay, next, pre-decrement and post-decrement. This is opposite of increment. If increment adds, so decrement subtracts. These two terms are ways to reduce the value of variable. First, post decrement is return the value to a value that has not undergone subtraction operation, or value is output first, then subtracted. Second, pre-decrement is return the value to the value that has undergone a subtraction operation, or the value is subtracted first, then output. Predicament. Predicament is subtract the value variable before the value of the variable is processed. The initial of k is 5, then the value of min k is 4. This is because in the min k operation, the value 5 is lowered first before being displayed. After that, the value of min k is 4. So that at the next call, the k to be displayed is also a value of 4. First, the increment is subtract the value of a variable after the value of that variable is processed. The initial value of k is 5. Then the value of k min is 5. This is because in the k min operation, before displaying again, that k min will redisplay with the value 5. After that, finally load one number into the final result with a value of 4. That's it with the formula value min 1. Okay, next, control comments. Control comments are used on the loop to change the result of the loop executive from its normal state. The control comment has two, namely the break and continue comments. The break comments look at the example program. If e equal to 7, break. The break command is used to stop the ongoing looping process. In the example program, the loop will stop when e is equal to 7. And then output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because the loop will stop when e is equal to 7. Second, the continue command. Look at the example program. If E is equal to 7, continue. The continue command is used to skip the loop in question. In the example program, we'll skip the loop when E is equal to 7. And then output program is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Note for module 4. First, the statement E++ is identical to E equal to E plus 1. System TLS function to clear the program's screen. System TLS is in the library std.h. Get char after scanf, which takes /n in the input memory so that gets can work. Okay, thank you and more or less sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.